Welcome, everybody. We're here for our second class with Romancing the Soul. And without further ado, let's welcome, love streaming not only here but around the world. Here we go, Reverend Bob Trask.
Good evening. Hi, Janet. Hi, my team. Wait a minute, let me get this chair settled. So glad you're here. Listen, tonight we're going to really be moving forward into some really interesting places. So fasten your seatbelt. We're going to do some things that are going to stretch you out and make you reach a little bit into the abstract. And when I say the abstract, you know what I mean. I mean, for instance, we know that we live in an atmosphere. We call this an atmosphere. It's the air and the clouds and trees and breeze and whatever else is going on. That's our atmosphere. But tonight we're going to talk about a different atmosphere. We're going to talk about the atmosphere beyond atmospheres. We're going to talk about the atmosphere inside of which this atmosphere is contained. There isn't any name for it. I mean, I'm calling it an atmosphere, but there isn't a name for it. We can call it eternity. We can call it the great void. We can call it the vacuum. We can call it whatever we want. It doesn't make any difference. You still can't describe it. But it's that from which everything else comes. And gosh, it's so fun to talk about this. It's empty. It's absolutely empty. And at the same time, it's filled with everything. Now, does that sound like a contradiction? Oh, I told you couldn't talk about it. It's too weird to talk about. It's like everything that we see in our universe is around, isn't it? It's all like the planets are round. Everything that things go around the day, everything is round, round. So then that's a zero, which contains zero, which contains nothing, which contains everything. Nothing contains everything. Now that you think I'm drunk, unless you're staying with me, in which case you're drunk, you've got to be able to see that the reality, the true reality with a capital R, is not a reality that we're interested in this class. It's not a reality that we're interested in our spiritual lives. In our daily life, yeah, financial life and the life of our bodies and the health and our families. And yeah, it's vitally important, really important. Just these are treasures I'm talking about. But all of that comes from someplace else. And that someplace else is here, but it's not here. It's here, but it's a different atmosphere. And the work that we do together is to get a chance for us to begin to move beyond our thinking minds into our heart minds and into our intuitive minds, into our spiritual minds, and begin to recognize and realize that other area. One of the ways we do that is through meditation. Let's do that now. Let's meditate. So if you will, just get yourself in a comfortable position. Put your hands in the position that you like for them to be in, and just relax. Completely, totally relaxed. And then be breathing in and breathing out. That gentle, sweet breath that is that other atmosphere, that is the breath of God. Breathing in and breathing out, and just being at peace. When you breathe in, hold that breath until it's comfortable to let it go, then let it go. And don't breathe in until it's comfortable to breathe back in. Sweet breaths, blessing you with every breath. Breathing in and breathing out gently, sweetly. Letting your mind be empty and your heart be full. And you know that you're filling your body with your being, with your eternal being. From the tips of your toes and the tips of your fingers to the top of your head. Be aware now that that is you, the eternal you, that is in the world but not of the world. And let yourself begin expanding outside of your body. Expanding, expanding. Until you're outside of your body, looking back at that body sitting in the chair, blessing that body that has served you so wonderfully for so long. And now moving out of the room and out of the house, out into the sky, up into the starlight, out over the sea, and the sea is made of pure grace. Oh, we know on this level it's salt water, but we're here spiritually, hovering over this great, enormous, star-bathed ocean. We're here spiritually, and so the ocean is spiritual, is made of grace. And let us settle down onto the surface of that beautiful grace. And then with an exhalation of breath, let us slip under the surface into the grace so that we are surrounded and filled with the starlight of grace that's moving through our bodies, through every cell, blessing, renewing, and healing. And you sink deeper and deeper into joy, where there's not more darkness, but more light and more light. The light of joy, the light of love, the light of peace. And you come down upon the bottom, white sandy bottom, and you sit there surrounded with such love, such warmth, such beauty. And all of those who have gone before you to the other side are all here. They're all here in this grace, smiling and blessing you and loving you and allowing you to love them. You are loved. You are blessed. You are safe. You are free. You are loved and blessed and safe and free. You are safe, and that body back there in that chair is completely well, completely well. And you, my dear, are love, are joy, are peace. Can you just be here in this love, in this joy, and in this peace? And without any thinking, just feel the bathing of grace in and around you. I'm going to stop talking in a little while. You'll hear the music stop. And when it does, take your time, but come back to the room. So before we start tonight, I'd like to ask if anyone has any sharing from this last week. And tonight, when you go into your breakout rooms, I'll tell you ahead of time, you're going to be talking about what you gained from the triangle this week. So this would be a good time to start reviewing some of that. So who'd like to share?
Can you please use the reaction button in the far right-hand corner of your screen if you want to raise hand so we know you're wanting to say something?
So if you just hit reaction and then put the hand, then your hand goes up and then Janet calls on you. Rick, my brother Rick.
Thank you, Bob. I had an interesting week. There's a group that I meet with regularly, a buddy down here, and it's a kind of support group, and we meet up once a month or so, virtually recently, and we talk about our lives and what's going on. And I shared with them that I was taking this class, and one of the guys who I know well and I have known for a long time asked me, he said, "Well, didn't you take this class a long time ago?" I said, "Well, I haven't taken this class, but yes, a number of years ago, I was involved in this work and in the study." And he said, "Well, if you've already done it, why are you doing it again?" And I said, "Well, it's a class about the use of a tool, and I think having a brush up on a tool is always a good idea. I mean, the number one golfer in the world, Dustin Johnson, meets with a coach and takes golf lessons every week. Now, I know Dustin Johnson, but I figure he can do it. It's probably a good thing." And then I pointed out that secondly, I'm not the same person now that I was 30 years ago. I've grown, I hope, in some ways. And my situation is really different now than it was back when I first encountered this work. So what I want to do is to go into this work with a fresh mind. And I can't put it all aside because much of the teaching is so deeply ingrained in me now that it's a part of me. But what I want to do is to put the intellectual memories of this aside and come in and take this course like it's my first time. This is a new experience, because it is a new experience. In the 30 years since I was last here, I've got new brain cells and new muscle cells and a new life. So happy to be here in square one. Thank you.
Thank you, Rick. You know, Rick, what these other folks don't know is that you didn't take this class 30 years ago. This class had 3 levels, and the most advanced of those classes only had one trainer, and that was you. So for you to be back taking this class says a lot to all of us who think we've been already to the mountain. Thank you, Dustin.
Well, I wish I had his golf score.
or his money.
Yeah.
So Bob's going to call on somebody, I think, in a moment if we don't see a raised hand. You're muted too, Bob. Oh, we've got Ann up, so I'm going to unmute Ann, and there we go.
Hi, Ann.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Reverend Bob. I had a really good week too, and I'm teaching my son, who's 10 years old, the Trask triangle, and we're reading the book together. And so we've noticed a few strange coincidences happening, which we're always observant to, but more often than before. And so a couple things that happened over the last few days. We were at Costco and we were just going down the shopping list. And then at the very end, he said, "Okay, well, I guess that's it. Is there anything else?" And I looked at the list and I said, "Oh yeah, hemp hearts." And then he pointed to right in front of us, in front of like completely unrelated area. They're just sitting there on top of everything, just, on their own. And I thought, oh, that's really, really funny, but like instant manifestation. And then he was just like, wow, because his part of the triangle is he's becoming a vegan and releasing all these, but he's, on the plant-based journey. So that's part of it. And then second thing that happened to him was today, he we were talking about goal setting and how he wants to practice his violin every day. So I said, well, okay, we'll just do a little bit. You know, Reverend Bob says just like even 5, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, let's just do a little bit every day towards a goal. So he practiced for 15 minutes. Then I said, okay, now let's go to the beach and go into the nature and go for a walk. And we were out there, and we just ran right into his violin teacher, who was going for a walk the other way. And he was like, wow, that's crazy. This is such a fun coincidence, because this is going to be a fun journey and we're going to have all these fun things happening. And yep, that was really fun for him. And then the third thing was, this morning I opened my emails, and just around Christmas time, it was so crazy busy, and I took a bunch of kids with me in the car to Grouse Mountain. But then we got onto the gondola, we all piled in. I realized, oh my gosh, we're not going to have time to make it all the way up the hill, come back down, and we're going to run out of time. So I had to ask the attendant, I don't think we have enough time. What's the lineup like up at the top? And they said, oh yeah, it's like probably an hour and a half long just to get back, just in the lineup. And I thought, oh yeah, there's no way I'm going to have enough time up there. So I thought, all right, well, hopefully I can get a refund in the future. And she said, oh yeah, that's not a problem. Just line up downstairs. So I lined up at the guest services, but it was like a 2-hour long wait. And I thought, oh, I can't do this right now. I've got these kids with me. I got to get them home, pick up other kids. And so I just went home, and then later sent them an email. And that was like around Christmas time, and I'd forgotten all about it. And then it was sort of on my brain, because I was looking at other emails this morning. And then I saw that one. I thought, oh yeah, I better follow up on that and see what happens. But then an hour later, I was doing something else, and I saw that they had emailed me and said, oh yeah, sorry this took so long, but here's a refund for the tickets that you purchased. It's like a couple $100. So I was like, wow, that's really great. So yeah, just more coincidence. So, yeah, it's great.
And I'm so glad you shared those coincidences, and I hope everybody's listening, and I hope you're paying attention, because like Anne and her son, if you are looking for those coincidences, they're around you all the time. Everything is a pattern. The American natives, the First Nations in Canada called Indians in America, whatever. But those original natives, the original people living in North America and South America, following the rules and the flow of nature, which they called Great Spirit, which of course it is Great Spirit, it's Holy Spirit. But they saw in everything around them all the time, and this is a really important point, and Nan's made it so clearly. They saw in everything around them a connection to everything else around them. So they saw those coincidences, but more than that, they used those coincidences. They said, when this comes here, then this will go here, and then this will go here, and then this will go here. And the way these things come together is magic. That's the life of Holy Spirit, of Great Spirit. So thank you, Anne, for sharing that. And everybody else, please keep your eye open for those coincidences, because they are speaking to you. You think, God, I haven't talked to Mom in a long time. Phone rings, pick it up. Hi, Mom. That's it from that other atmosphere that I'm talking about. So we need to pay attention. Thank you, Anne. One more. I guess I have to call on someone. Eleanor? Yes, Eleanor, it's you. Good evening.
Am I unmuted?
You're unmuted.
Okay. Yeah, I had an interesting coincidence. I got an email out of the blue from a couple down in Newfoundland that we met in Nicaragua traveling in 2015. And they had come to Vancouver that same fall and stayed with us. And then they invited us to Newfoundland, but we never got there. And we kind of lost track of them. All of a sudden, I got an email last week from them saying, how are you? We haven't heard from you. We're in Newfoundland still, the other end of the country. And I I got back to them and I looked through some pictures from that trip, and I found a picture of them in Gastown with Sam Logan. They bought a painting from him. And I didn't know that Sam was an artist until I was in a small group with him last week. And he said that he missed selling his artwork down in Gastown. I thought that was so interesting.
You see how it connects?
Yeah.
You see how it connects? And people call these coincidences, and they're right. Things coincide. But it's not just accidental. It's part of a pattern.
And then my husband saw the picture of Sam and said, "Oh, I know him. He used to sell art in Stanley Park when I used to sell art in Stanley Park."
It just goes on and on and on. We just need to pay attention.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that, Eleanor. Okay, I'm going to move on.
Now, Bob,
Yes.
I don't think we can miss that opportunity to have Sam say something. You know, he looks like he's poised.
Oh,
Right
Sam.
there. He's unmuted.
Yeah, Sam, please. Come forward, Sam.
Oh, there you go.
You're unmuted. Yep.
Yeah, I was so happy to be in our group last week, and we shared a lot of things. And I shared that I was an artist and missing Gastown. And the nice thing about Gastown, you're most excited about the next person who's going to show up at your stand, and just people from all over the world. And almost every time I sell a piece, I make a friend. So I just love that connection. And
Who's your husband?
and thank you for sharing your story. That's really touches me. So thank you very much. Yes.
Now, thank you, Sam. Now, you would have to either be blind or just plain stupid to have heard these stories tonight and not see the connections. And we're not stupid and we're not blind. Therefore, we can see the connections. Okay, I'm gonna do a little work here. You remember commitment. You remember me talking about commitment and how important it is. So I want to just lean on you again a little bit. That until you're committed, nothing works for you. You don't see the connections, and you have to be committed not to making more money or to running a faster race or something. You have to be committed to the dream. And what is the dream? The dream is to be filled to the overflowing with life and with joy, filled to the overflowing. That's the dream. And we can't get there without being committed to it. We can't get there unless we're committed to it. Committed. And it requires that we be diligent about our thinking. Excuse me. That we be diligent about our thinking. That we focus our whole being on where we want to go. So on the triangle, and I know you got the triangle last week, and so you've been mulling around and looking it over. And God bless those of you who end up in a breakout room with Rick Robertson. You've been kissed by the fairy mother, because he knows this thing inside and out. But the thing is that unless you have a vision, and the vision comes from being, right? We got that clear. The vision comes from being. You be, and then the vision comes from that. Therefore, the vision has to be a vision of being. Well, no, Bob, because the first vision is to do. It's be, do, have. So it's be, do, have. But yeah, but it's the being inside of the doing, and it's the being inside of the having that makes it work. And so your vision is to be in the doing. Like Sam was just talking about his work as an artist. He's in Gastown. He's selling to people. He's making friends as he's when he's painting. He's following his vision when he's painting. His heart's flowing out onto the canvas. He's in that other atmosphere. He's bringing forth the abstract. He's bringing forth that other dimension of reality and putting it on canvas, and people walk up and go, whoa, I need to take that home. And they take him home, and he goes home, and the whole thing comes together, and that's vision. And I don't care what your talent is. You must follow your vision, and you must be committed to your vision. That's commitment. So you did the homework. You read the chapter, and you looked at the triangle, and I hope you really pondered it, because unless you really dig into this class, you could skip across the top of the water and get to the other shore and not even get wet. You need to dig in, and I'm going to tell you something. And Rick Robertson just proved this. You can take this class, and you can get as deeply involved as you possibly can, and you can learn everything that is possible to learn. And when it's all over, you'll say, I need to take that class again. Because you realize that you learned how to swim, but you're still in the shallow end of the pool. I've taught this class, I don't know, 1,000, 10,000, I don't know how many times. And every time I teach it, I learn something new. Every time I learn something new. So I want to just, in going along with this, in talking about your vision, in talking about synchronicity, the coming together of these different things that seem unrelated, in that magical atmosphere that surrounds us. There's only one energetic force in the universe. And we've talked about this before in other classes. There's only one energetic force in this universe, in any universe. And that energetic force, now please hear this, is outside our comfort zones. It's outside our comfort zones. I'm going to show you. Can I share screen? Yes, I see I can. I want to show you something. Now, please forgive me because this is my crude drawing. Come on. Come on back here. I apologize for the crudity, but if I was better on the computer, I could have done this whole thing on the computer, but I'm not. This is about building spiritual power, or I might say building joy, or building love, or building grace. Look at this for just a minute. This zero right here, this is where we're born. This is where we're born. This person, can you see my cursor? This person is being born right here and coming into life. And when he or she comes into life, maybe the first thing that happens is that he gets popped on the fanny or suctioned out to get him breathing. And that's a negative experience, maybe a -3. And then gets put on mama's breast. And maybe that's a positive experience. Maybe that's a +3. So now I have what's called a comfort zone. I freely can move back and forth between these two because I know my way. I feel comfortable even in this amount of negativity. I feel comfortable in this. Then here's what happens. So we're going to just look at these comfort zones as though complete total negative. Oh my God, it can't get any worse than this. This is total despair. I'm right in the very center of the triangle. The toilet's flushing and I'm going right down the drain. That's a negative 10. Positive 10 is I just discovered absolutely for true that I will live forever, that I will live forever, and that I will live forever in joy and in love and in grace. And I not only think that or want to think that, I've discovered that as a truth. Oh my God, I'm in such joy. So that's negative and positive. So here's what happens. We get oriented, don't we? We get oriented by our parents. We get oriented by our government. We get oriented by our school teachers. We get oriented, especially by our church. We get oriented and we get told a lot of times that we're evil. Now you notice that this 0 here is both negative and positive. So here you come down here. Now this was our comfort zone to begin with. But this person is negatively oriented. In other words, they think the sky's falling. They don't believe in goodness. They don't believe in miracles. They don't think that they can do it. They don't believe in themselves. They feel like they're not worthy. And so they're focused in this direction. And so this little comfort zone of positivity remains, but their comfort zone moves down to here. Now, remember I said that this is the 0. This 0 is a neutral zone. This is a neutral zone, neither negative or positive. This is their neutral zone. Where's the neutral zone on this one? It's not here anymore, is it? Now the neutral zone, the balance point's clear down here in negativity. So now my life, when my life is just going normal, it's negative. In other words, I'm suspicious of what's going on around me. I'm untrustful. I feel like I'm coming down with something. I'm getting sick. I hate it. I'm aging. I'm getting old. I don't want to die. Oh my God, my arthritis, da 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 da, on and on and on. But if the same person can, in fact, still have this negative part, and say, life is good. I'm making things happen. I'm looking for joy. I'm looking for grace. I'm looking for love. I'm smiling at people. How do we gain more love, more self-love? By giving it away. Isn't that true? By giving it away. By giving away our love, we gain love. The love doesn't flow from us, my friends. It flows through us. It flows through us. And this person here on this part of the graph, this person is going more and more into the positive. In other words, becoming more and more joyful. So what was at one time 0 or the center for them is now over here. Just an average day is a day of bliss, joy, love, excitement. Oh my God, look at this flower. Look at it's growing. I can't believe it. I thought it was going to die, and here it is. Here's what that looks like in terms of the. I'm going to get out of here just for a minute, because I want you to be able to see me. Oh no, I don't want to do that. I just want to stop sharing, and I'll come back to this in just a second. But remember, I told you that life goes in waves because everything is energy, and everything is frequency. And all frequency has intelligence. That's a scientific fact. All frequency has intelligence, and our lives go in frequencies, highs and lows, highs and lows. Now, when we're on the top, we're going, hey, this is not so bad. Hey, things are pretty cool. I just got a raise, and then we go down in the bottom. We say, oh my God, I just got this terrible thing just happened, and I feel this is just dreadful. And so I'm in the bottom of the wave, and then I go back up to the top of the wave. Now, you've heard this before, but I'm going to say it again because I think it's really important. When you're in the bottom of the wave is when you change your life. That's when you change your life. If you can choose joy when you're in the bottom of the wave, when you can choose joy when all around you are failing, falling, crying, and wailing, if you can choose joy, you will lift yourself and those around you up to a higher level. And the next peak will be higher than the last peak because you did your work in the trough. When When times are tough, when you're down, when you're tired, when you can't go on, when you think it's all over, when you don't want to deal with it anymore, when you're in that position, if you do your work, if you choose joy, if you get yourself on the triangle and you get to work and you call the people that you need to talk to and let them give you a shot in the arm, if you do that, then when you come up to the top, then you'll come back at a higher level. Now I'm going to go back to share screen because I want to show you something. You see this here? Here we start in the middle. This is the middle, right here. This is the middle. If I go down, 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 and that's where I'm going here, and I'm going down, 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 then my lows, or excuse me, my highs, my highest times are lower than my lows used to be. I want to say that again. The best times, the good times, the high times are worse than my lows used to be. My best times are worse than my worst times used to be. Consequently, those people who go the other direction, their lows, listen to this, their lows are higher than their highs used to be. Their lows are higher than their highs used to be. In other words, this guy's going, oh my God, I just can't believe it. I just ran out of gas in my brand new Maserati. And I'm going to have to wait for AAA, which means I'm going to miss the tee off on my golf game. That's the worst. I mean, the very worst that can happen to you is joy. The worst that can happen to you is joy. The very worst that can happen to you is better than your highs used to be. And on down here, this poor person, their very best day is worse than their worst day used to be. So here it is. We come into life and we have negatives and positives. And then we make decisions to go either negative or positive. And if we go positive or we go negative, we make a decision about how we're going to live our lives. Now, if you're ready, I'm going to take you to another level. But first, we're going to go to our breakout rooms. And then when we come back, I'm going to show you where this goes ultimately, where it goes ultimately. And that's going to be really exciting, really exciting. So now, if I can stop the share, got to push the left button, Trask. So, okay. So I'm going to let you go now and go to your breakout rooms. And here's your breakout room question. What in the triangle interests you? Got a couple of screens up here, folks. There we go. What in the triangle interests you?
I put that in the chat, Bob, so the question is there. Yeah.
Because I was showing you that the negative goes over to -10, positive goes over to +10. If you accept all of life, accept all of it, that's the big word. That's the number one word in life is acceptance. Until we get to that place, nothing works. When you're in complete acceptance, the -10 and the +10 are the same 10. The -10 and the +10 are the same 10. Your deepest grief meets your greatest joy. And the two of them make a blend. You see this negative and positive? Look, what you're looking at here is not a page. What you're looking at here is the top of a battery. You're looking at the top of a battery. It's got a positive and a negative pole. And unless energy goes back and forth between the two, nothing happens. The car doesn't start, the lights don't go on, nothing happens. but they have to work with each other. And they're a positive 10 and a negative 10. In your life, when my life, I need to be willing and able to accept completely accept everything. -1, -5, -6, -9, accept. It is the way. Listen to this mantra. It is the way it is. It is the way. It is the way it is. It is the way. It is the way 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 it is the way. So if you find yourself over here and you're saying, I'm just having a really crummy day. Well, that's your attitude about the day. The day is just the day. You say, well, I've got a lot of pain. Well, it's just pain. Pain is just energy. I know how bad it is to hurt like hell. I know what that feels like. But it doesn't go away because you resist it. Have you ever had it go away because you resisted it? If you're feeling really crummy and you've got the blues today and you're feeling really down on life and somebody did something to you and really broke your heart or hurt your feelings, did you resisting that make it different? When you accept it, then it turns into energy that's usable. And a -5 is paired with a +5. And a -9 is paired with a +9. And they both become together perfect balance. I don't know. I feel a little constrained right now because I really want to get this point across, but I almost feel like I'm not eloquent enough to make it happen. We must be in acceptance of whatever is before we can change it. When we're resisting, we cannot change reality. When we resist, we lock up the energy. There's energy in a -8. There's energy in that. When we resist it, we lock that energy up and it can't move. When we accept it, that energy becomes fluid, it becomes flowing. Then it's energy we can use and we can change the situation. You say this is a terrible situation because something awful is happening and I don't know what to do and I don't know what, and I'm just lost and stop fighting. Take some deep breaths and relax and accept what you know to be the way it is. Accept that. And in the acceptance of that, you then release that energy. Now, I've been talking about people who are locked up over here in negative energy. There are people who get locked up over here in positive energy. They aren't going to go any farther than a +6. You know why? They're afraid to move beyond their +6 because they're afraid of the -6. I'm afraid to take a risk. I'm afraid to move beyond where I am because, something might happen. I just love that cartoon in the 100-Acre Woods when Pooh Bear is walking along with Piglet and Piglet's saying, the wind is blowing and branches are flying. Oh my, this is so dangerous. What if a branch should come out of a tree and land on us? And Pooh Bear, without stopping, said, and what if it doesn't? What if it doesn't? If I'm afraid of getting any negative in my life, then I'm not going to have any energy in my life. I've got to have both. And we talk about joy. Joy is a state of being. It's not happiness. Happiness is the opposite of sadness. Those are polar opposites. Happiness, sadness. Joy is the state of being. Joy is the entire triangle. Joy is the entire negative and positive. So during this next week, take a really close look at how you're judging the negative things in your life, and see if just accepting them isn't better. If just accepting them doesn't then free you up to perhaps change them, because then that energy becomes available for you. And I used to be, don't want to talk about it, but I used to be a fighter. I used to really a scrapper. And when I learned that the guy, the big, tough, bad looking dude that I thought I was going to have to fight because he was a big dude and because he looked bad and because he insulted me, I learned that if I loved him, I learned if I totally accepted him the way he was and stopped judging him, stopped being afraid of him, and went up and put my nose about 3 inches from him and said, I love you, man. You're just great. What does that do? What happens? The whole situation just changed from locked in energy to free energy, flowing energy. Next thing you know, the guy wants to buy me a beer. You've got to know that we can't get where we're going. You know, the reason you're in this class is because you've been called. You were called here. You know, here you are. And we can't get where we need to go on this path that we're walking together here unless we're accepting that there are brambles and stumbles and barked knees and hurt shins and thirst and mosquitoes and a few brambles. If we don't accept those, we're never going to get to the top of the mountain. And I don't mean put up with them. I don't mean tolerate them. I'm not talking about tolerating. I'm talking accepting, becoming one with. Becoming one with. Great Spirit. Becoming one with Great Spirit. And then Great Spirit becomes one with you. And then Great Spirit and you are one. As Jesus used to say, the Father and I are one. That's what he was talking about. It starts with acceptance. We have judgments, so just set them aside. So this week, a couple of things. Homework, a couple of things. I want you to read, obviously, the next chapter, and I want you to question what in the triangle is really changing your life. And I want you to not only question what's changing your life, but I want you to write those things down. Write things down. I want you to have a piece of paper and a pencil next to you. Because from now on, when we go into breakout rooms, there will only be 3 people in the breakout room. And you and the other 2 people in the breakout room will have a pad of paper there. And you'll say, this is what I got from the triangle. This is how it affected my life. This is what I learned this week. When I read this chapter, this is what I got from this chapter. So, because from now on, forward, forward from tonight, you're the teachers. From tonight, you're the teachers. You better study that chapter well, and you better really look at the triangle, because you're going to be talking about it next week. And that's how you're going to learn, is by teaching it. So there's going to be two other people, and you're going to be teaching that. So Janet very kindly put up this. This is the triangle. If you need to have this URL, because this is where the interactive triangle is. So if you if you get lost and you don't have that, then call somebody and say, I don't have that link. I need to get that link. This is not just a class. This is a path. This is a path that will lead you to the greatest treasures you have ever dreamed of. Ever, ever, ever dreamed of. There's no thing that's outside of your ability to be it, do it, and have it. You need to trust the triangle. Now unmute yourselves and go to the gallery view and say goodnight to everybody. Just unmute yourselves.
Good night, everybody. Thank
Good
you,
night.
Bob, and thank you, Janet, and
Thank you
Brian.
all.
Thank you.
Bye, all.
Good night. Good night.
Thank you.
Love you.
Night all.
Good night.
Good night.
Everybody, thank you.
Eleanor, remember?
Bye.
Looking
Bye-bye.
forward to bringing the
Everyone.
triangle. Ding-a-ling-a-ling.
Okay.
Thanks, Bob.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Good night.